that we often misrepresent our Catholic brothers and sisters and what they teach. And now that I know the truth, I will stand for what is right and teach what is right according to their beliefs. Oh, you Catholic people, listen to your leaders and priests and cardinals and popes. Agree with me.
Right, another cardinal.
It's here, folks. Thank God for these great Catholic leaders, cardinals, popes, who say it's near. Be ready.
So actually, you know, Jack, they base all of their anticipation on the coming of the Lord on the Bible.
Yes, we agree on all these things. It's exciting to have read all these Catholic books. I mean, I was stirred.
Billy Graham and Pope John Paul II. They are no strangers to you, Dr. Graham, the evangelist, and of course, Pope John Paul II, the head of the Catholic Church worldwide, Jack. I know these men have meant quite a bit to you.
Oh, they really have, Rexella. I read everything that Dr. Billy Graham puts out and Pope John Paul II, because these men have given me real direction in my life concerning the message of salvation and concerning the message of love and forgiveness. And you're going to hear some things about forgiveness in a few moments that'll shock you as to what the Catholic Church under this Pope is about to do. But I can't say enough about these two great giants of the faith because of what they've preached and how they've stood true. And you know, I get so upset with people when they try to make me change my mind. I read all of Pope's messages. I know what he believes. And someone said to me the other day, do you really believe he's a Christian? Come on.
If Jack Van Impe wasn't enough, here is Hal Lindsey and Paul Crouch, founder of TBN. It appears that Hal Lindsey wants to put out a video warning that, you know, the Antichrist may come and he could even be the Pope. And Paul Crouch doesn't like that. He says, well, surely you're not talking about the current Pope. Isn't he a wonderful Christian man? And Hal Lindsey agrees. Oh, yes, this Pope is a wonderful Christian man. Here is Hal Lindsey, the author of The Late Great Planet Earth, one of the top so-called prophecy teachers on Trinity Broadcasting Network, and Paul Crouch, the network's founder, as they promote the Pope as a great Christian leader.
I bring the Pope in because he is the friend of both of them. And he kind of, but you know, after the Antichrist is raised from the dead, these two have the best credentials of anybody in the world, and the reason he wanted them there was to testify that they literally saw him raised from the dead. And so that becomes, you know, the false prophet becomes the great proclaimer of the miraculous qualities of the Antichrist.
Isn't this scenario of bringing the Pope into it, isn't that going to cause our Catholic friends a little heartburn?
Well, I don't think so, because I brought in the prophecies of Fatima, which predicts that the second Pope after this Pope will be somehow involved with the Antichrist.
You know what? That's right. I read that.
You read it, didn't you?
Those children in Portugal that saw
exactly, the children of Fatima.
Yeah.
They made this prophecy, which has been kept in the Vatican, and every Pope has known about them. And I don't think any Pope was ever as troubled by them as the present Pope. I mean, he is troubled. He said, I know that, he said, I greatly fear that a future Pope will either be the Antichrist or he will be wrapped up with it. So I'm not saying something as a Protestant trying to hit at the Catholic Church. This is something the Catholic Church itself
has already said.
Has seen. Yeah, but the present Pope has seen.
Because the present Pope, John Paul II, he's a good man. He's a man of faith. We covered him at Denver, Colorado a couple of years ago.
It would be very difficult to say that he's not. Now, I know a lot of Protestants out there will get their dander up and so forth, but look, folks, a person is not a Christian because of a system he has to be a part of. A person is a believer in Jesus. If he comes to a personal faith in Jesus Christ, he is born again and he is truly a Christian.
Well, how?
Even though they may be wrapped up in some things that don't fit.
Oh, you know, there's probably things in the Catholic Church that Pope John Paul doesn't even agree with.
Probably so.
You know, I'm sure of it.
Certainly Malachi Martin has brought this out, and by this blood, you know, it's quite a book.
I heard John Paul stand in Denver, Colorado, what, 2 years or 3 years ago? He came to that great youth conference?
Yes.
Now, the charismatic movement has gone as we used to say in East Texas, whole hog into the Pope's lair. In 1977, in 1986, and in 1987, there were huge meetings of charismatics, Assembly of God, Pentecostals, Church of God in Christ, and others. They met in New Orleans at the Superdome. Thousands of them thronged in there. I'm going to show you just a little bit of what went on there at the stadium, at the New Orleans Superdome. And it all led up to a great speech by Catholic priest Tom Forrest, who led them all in rousing yells and said, "We're all a team. We're all as one." Here is the New Orleans meeting of thousands of charismatics from around the world, many of them pastors, lay leaders, televangelists, as well as you will see, Catholic priest Tom Forrest. He's in the Vatican. He's an American priest. He's been given control, you might say. He's been put in charge of the Catholic tongues movement, speaking in tongues. And thus, there he was being honored by all of these charismatics. Watch this.
I hope that you will stand and respectfully welcome Father Tom Forrest.
Redemptorist priest Father Tom Forrest inspires us to be part of the team and carry this message of Jesus' love to our generation.
To convert this pagan world, we have to be more than workers of signs and wonders. In our holiness, we must be the sign. We must be the wonder. Now, I said we couldn't do it alone. That's what this meeting's all about. Are we a team?
Yeah.
Let's show them that we're a team. Again. Amen.
Make us into a team right now. Let him just bring us together. Let him cleanse our hearts. Let that spirit of holiness come down upon us. Hallelujah. Let the fire of God fall on this place. Let the Lord melt away the sin. Let God be exalted. Let his people be set free tonight. Let the holiness of God descend upon the people of God.
Now, the question is, if all of these ex-Protestants, almost every name Christian celebrity that you can mention, if all of them say the Pope is a great Christian leader, he teaches the gospel the same as we do, we believe even in the Catholic Catechism. If that's true, if they believe in the Catholic doctrines, should we not look into these Catholic doctrines? What does the Catholic Church teach? Well, in my newsletter some years ago, I talked about exactly that subject. What do the Catholics believe? And I had a list of things that the Catholics practice and believe in. Look at them. First of all, Christians pray to Mary, or they can pray to any of thousands of dead saints. They believe in the Catholic Church that Mary in heaven is the mother of God and our mother, they say. They say she's appearing today to faithful Christians who pray to her instead of Jesus and say her rosary, which begins, Hail Mary, full of grace. And the next thing that the Catholics believe is that through infant baptism, babies are regenerated, that is, saved. But of course, they're only saved for a little while because you have to keep doing good works to ensure your salvation. The Catholics believe the Bible is not sufficient in itself as the final authority for Christians, that church tradition and the official papal teachings are to be accepted. After all, the Pope when he speaks in ex cathedra.